Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb. Today on the program, finishing touches are being made to the controversial Maharlika Investment Fund before it is sent to President Bongbong Marcos for his signature. The Senate minority cautions against implementing major changes to the Maharlika bill. And are there enough safeguards in the Maharlika Investment Fund bill? Senator Mark Villar joins us in the program. Senate Majority Leader Joel Villanueva expects the controversial Maharlika Investment Fund bill to be transmitted to President Bongbong Marcos within the week. He says the bill is being finalized by the Senate Secretariat to fix typographical and clerical errors after it was passed just before Congress adjourned sine die. Minority Leader Senator Coco Pimentel warned that implementing major changes to the Maharlika bill would be criminal. Let's go straight to the source of the story. We have the principal author and sponsor of the Maharlika bill, Senator Mark Villar. Senator, good to finally have you. Thank you so much for your time.
Good morning, Pinky, and thank you also for giving me the opportunity.
Let's talk about the status of the bill, sir. Where is it now? Is it still with the Senate Secretary?
Right now, it's with the Senate, but I think very soon it should be transmitted to the President.
But it's with the Senate Secretary. Am I correct, sir?
Yes, I believe it is.
Okay. And is it supposed to be? Kasi what happened, sir, just siguro for clarification and better understanding, it was passed by both houses of Congress. The House of Representatives adopted the Senate version. And then, hindi ho ba that goes first to the Senate Secretary, and then it becomes, before it is sent to the President, it's called an enrolled bill. Just tell us how the process, Senator.
Well, basically, that's what's happening. What is happening now is they're just perfecting the bill so that we achieve maximum, so there are no minor errors. But again, it's just minor. These are just minor, if ever, they're just minor tweaks, as they say. And we should expect that very soon it will be transmitted. It's, of course, up to the point that it's sent to the President. It's still, when we approve it, it's always subject to style. So there are some very minor things that need to be done to perfect the bill. Yeah.
But when do you expect the enrolled bill to be transmitted or sent to Malacanang?
I can't give an exact date. Of course, the Secretary ultimately can answer that. But I expect very soon.
Okay, let's talk about the minor tweaks for this to be perfected. There was a lot of talk on this prescriptive period in filing criminal offenses. In one part, it says 10 years, and the other, it says 20 years, from what I remember. And what I've read during interpellation, you, Senator Villar, said it has to be 10 years and not 20 years. Please explain what happened, sir.
Well, basically, during the period of amendments, we have penalties in addition to the ones that are already provided for in the law. So, there was a portion of the amendments where we were talking about what these additional penalties are. So we were just balancing it out, what the penalty should be. Of course, you want to make it strong, but at the same time, you also want to make it balanced so that it's also it's not too prohibitive.
Yeah, but wasn't it true that the bill, the final version that your office sent to the reporters, stated 2 prescriptive period in filing criminal offenses for those who will misuse the fund? One said 10 years and the other said 20 years.
That's not the final version yet of the bill. Of course, like you said, that these things are subject to style. So I'm not even sure what that. I mean, why there? I'm not even sure why my office, how that happened. That my office sent that, and I'm not sure what they sent. But that being said, hintayin na lang po natin yung final version kasi those things that were approved are still subject to style. So of course, let's wait for the final so we can achieve maximum clarity.
Okay, but what do you want? Do you want the prescriptive period to be 10 years or do you want it to be 20 years?
I wanted to reflect what was debated on the floor. So I believe that what they meant was well, I don't what they meant was uh, 10 years. So I wanted to reflect what was said on the floor basically. Yun lang naman sa akin. I mean, ultimately we go back to the records at kung ano yung nasa record, yun na yun. Yun
And
yung pinag-usapan.
and
This-
is it 10
that should
years?
be reflected.
Opo, is it 10 years, Senator?
Yes, that was what was proposed by the minority. So ako naman, it's not for me to, of course, ultimately, this is not I'm not a single body approving all these things. Of course, it has to be approved by the whole Senate. So, respect to them. I think that I just want it para sa akin lang. Kung our final, whatever is there, whatever, we should always strive to reflect what was talked about in the floor.
So again, that's 10 years. Yan po yung napagkasunduan.
From my understanding, it was 10 years. That was the amendment, 10 years. 10 years of the addition of those penalties that were in addition to what was provided for.
Yeah, the prescriptive period in filing criminal offenses for those who might misuse the fund. There's prescriptive period of 10 years. Senator, are there other revisions or typographical errors, clerical errors that need to be fixed that you know of?
Well, again, that's why we subject to style. So, I don't want to preempt the secretariat. Again, they'll do their job as they've done for a long time. They know how to do their job. So let's let them do their job.
So they haven't told you of any possible revisions there. Okay, so let's talk about the bill, sir. As author, ito na po, another controversy. Is it clear, Senator Villar, that pension funds such as GSIS, SSS, Pag-ibig, PhilHealth cannot invest in the MIF because meron pong tinatawag doon po sa bill na absolute prohibition. Is it clear to you, sir?
Yeah, it's clear. It's clear in the law. It's clear in the law that there's a prohibition for GSIS, SSS, and may nadagdag pa po. The OWA
Opo.
and the veterans, the fund for the veterans, and of course the Pag-ibig was included. So in addition to that, I think there are so in addition to the SSS and GSIS, basically may nadagdag pa ng mga government agencies na may prohibition to invest in Maharlika.
How do we understand that if there's an absolute prohibition when the president says that they can invest if they decide to do so? And then let me also add, Secretary Diokno was saying that if the GSIS or the SSS deems it's advantageous, it can still subscribe to the MIC's activities, but only on a project level. He gave an example, sir. For example, the Maharlika has a big project worth 1 trillion, and the SSS and GSIS want to subscribe or invest 10% of that because it has high return. They can do it in the project, but not on equity. How do you understand this, sir? And is this right? Is this above board?
I think it's clear in the law. I don't want to. I don't want to assume that maybe I'm not sure about what the secretary is alluding to. So I don't want to. Maybe I'm not sure what kind of structure he's thinking of. But as far as the law is concerned, it's clear. It says there in the law that those SSS, GSIS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, OWA, and Philippine veterans are absolutely prohibited.
Opo.
Whether mandatory or voluntary. So I mean that's clear in the law.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what maybe I don't know what is exactly on the what is exactly Maybe he meant something different, or I don't. But I can only speak for what is in the law.
Yeah, but does that bring some sort of confusion and problem in the future, sir? Because as many of the senators will say, including yourself, malinaw po yung batas. But then you have the president saying, but they can if they want to, or the Secretary of Finance saying they can do it on a project basis. There seems to be a disconnect. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, I think that let's wait for the IRR to clarify what the type of investments. But I mean, of course, I'm sure that they will follow whatever's provided for in the law. So hintayin na lang natin. Let's preempt. I mean, obviously, they know what they are doing. So I don't think I wouldn't say there's a disconnect. I think it's just hintayin na lang. Dapat lang hintayin kung ano yung mga plano, kung ano yung IRR nila. And I'm sure once that happens, that we have an IR, things will become much clearer.
Yeah. So
this is part of the process.
Important to note this: 3 branches of government: executive, legislative, and the judiciary. You were part of the legislative branch of government. You create the laws, hindi ho ba? Pagkatapos po niyan, magkakaroon ng IRR. Kailangan ho kasi yung gawing batas ng lehislatura sundin, hindi ho ba? So,
of course.
Okay. So for you, sir, again, just to be clear on this, there's absolute prohibition in any form or in any way, form, or matter. Bawal po.
That's clear in the law. Prohibited to invest. That's clear in the law.
Okay. Kasi meron pa pong sinasabi subscribe versus invest. There could be some confusion and complication here. So I'll leave it at that, sir, because para po sa inyo, bawal, period.
Yes, for me it's clear in the law that they are not allowed to invest in the Maharlika.
But how important is it that the IRR stays true to the wisdom and the intent of the law that you guys created?
Yeah, it has to follow. Wala namang, there's no ambiguity there. The IRR cannot contradict what is provided for in the law. That's clear.
Okay. We need to take a very short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our source today, the principal author and sponsor of the Maharlika bill, Senator Mark Villar. Senator, welcome back. So let's talk about, I know this has been often talked about over and over again, still questions on why wala naman po tayong excess funds. Sabi po ni Senator Pimentel, there's no windfall revenue or even profits. Economist Solita Monsod also says we have no surplus funds that we can use. So maybe just to get a response to you on that, may utang tayo, malaki po yung utang natin, and yet mag-uumpisa po tayo ng Maharlika Investment Fund.
Yes, to begin with, not all funds require a surplus. There are different types of funds for different countries, and none of them are one size fits all. Mm-hmm. So it depends on what the needs of the country, are, what the needs are. For the Philippines, galing po tayo sa pandemya. Alam naman natin na napakalaking effect sa economy natin. And in fact, during the COVID, we saw our poverty rate rise from 18 to 21%. So there's really a need to attract investments, to create more jobs, to really boost the economy. And this is one way that we can do that. We can attract investment. At the same time, the government, by investing primarily in projects that serve a purpose for us, for our socio-economic agenda, can generate an income for government. So dual po yung purpose at dual po yung benefit, makaka-attract po ng investment, and also at the same time, makaka-generate ng income for our country.
Pwede hong magbigay kayo ng halimbawa how to attract investments, spur economy, and create jobs?
Yes, in fact, dahil ako po yung chairman of Trade and Industry, nakakasama din po ako sa mga business trips of the President. And I know that there are many foreign groups that are interested in investing in the Philippines, and they're looking for a vehicle to invest in the Philippines. So we believe that Maharlika can provide that vehicle for people to take a position, an investment position in the Philippines. While at the same time, the Maharlika can also invest in in our projects, our local infrastructure projects. I came from the infrastructure sector, so I
Right.
know that there are a lot of missing gaps that need to be filled. We have an underinvestment in infrastructure, and we need to address that. I think the best way that we can address that without incurring additional debt is to attract equity, to attract investment in our country. And in order to do that, we need a vehicle, and that vehicle is Maharlika.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's as
that's why.
simple as that.
Yeah, yun na nga po, it seems simple, but in practical terms, I was asking for, para po mas maintindihan ng publiko, what's a good example? For example, nabuo na po, maisabatas na po, pirmahan na po ito ng Pangulo, itong Maharlika Investment Fund. What are you forecasting? What are you seeing in the near future that they can do in terms of investment? Kayo na po nagsabi, galing po kayo sa gabinete in the past, ano po, and you saw loopholes there. What do you have in mind that can actually be done with the Maharlika Investment Fund? I mean, practical examples, sir.
So many things. You can infrastructure projects. You can invest in infrastructure here. It can be in the form. It can be roads. It can be airports. You can invest in energy, power plants. You can invest in agriculture. You can also help with put capital into companies that are invested in agriculture. You know, maybe storage facilities, cold storage. You can invest in that. Marami po. There's so many sectors that are undercapitalized, and we feel that they can also be profitable. So it serves a dual purpose. There's so many projects in
dito po
WH that are
pwede.
funded through overseas development assistance that maybe we can fund it through PPP, so that it would reduce the debt load of our country. At the same time, there would be additional infrastructure projects in the country.
There's so many, you were saying, undercapitalized industries that need infusion, capital infusion, and basically that's, ang dami po niyong sinabi, that's a lot of sectors that possibly need improvements. This is where the Maharlika Investment Fund can come in, basically. Dito
Yes.
po sila pwede pumasok at mag-invest.
Yes. Basically, there's so many opportunities. You know, when we analyze projects when I was with the government, when we analyze projects, we would compute the economic rate of return, and we would go into the details of what the foot traffic, we go into projected revenue. So there are so many possibilities that open up once we have a investment fund. And of course, I understand there are some concerns. People express concerns about the controls, but I think that through the course of our consultations, we've already included so many controls that I believe that the investments in the Maharlika Fund are very safe.
And how much is the seed fund?
The initial seed fund is 125. The initial capitalization is 125 billion.
Right, that's right. 125 billion. That's 50 billion from the national government, 50 billion from Land Bank, and 25 billion from DBP. As you were saying, sir, that the Maharlika Investment Fund can invest in so many industries. I know that this is the seed money, 125. Do you think this is enough? And for how long?
Well, of course, we'll see. It's just this is just seed money. You know, let's see where they can invest it, how far it can go, and then we'll just, I leave it to the economic managers to make those decisions once it's become once the Maharlika Investment Corporation is operating.
Yeah.
So I leave it to them to do the day-to-day details. But for me, I think it's a good start, and they'll be able to invest take positions in major industries, and I think they'll be able to achieve a good rate of return for the country.
Yeah, but as principal author of the bill, with 125, how did you foresee this, or did you get into this, that this could be good enough for the next year or the next 2 years? Dumating ho ba sa ganung punto or hindi?
Well, it's a lot of this is based on the analysis of our economic managers upon consultation with them. kung ano po ang kaya nila. And this is a number that we believe, that we all believe, is sufficient to start the fund, is sufficient to make some good investments in certain sectors, and then from there we'll see. I mean, of course, once
Okay.
it becomes an operating entity, they'll be the ones making the decisions as to how to steer the fund.
We need to take another short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our source today, the principal author and sponsor of the Maharlika bill, Senator Mark Villar. So we talked about the money. 50 billion will be coming from the Land Bank of the Philippines, 50 billion from national government, 50 billion from Land Bank of the Philippines, and 25 billion from DBP. Sir, just 2 points I'd like to raise here. Foundation for Economic Freedom is saying this 50 billion from the Land Bank actually equals 25% of their capital. 25 billion from DBP actually equals 33% of their capital. If the fund fails, how will this impact the two banks? And let me add also this statement from almost 24 faculty members from the University of the Philippines School of Economics. Nasa PhilStar po ito. They were basically saying, just in addition to what I earlier said, draining capital from state banks like the Land Bank and the DBP risk destabilizing these institutions and compromises their ability to meet BSP's capitalization requirements. Are we putting them at risk, sir?
Again, when we contemplated the bill, when we were debating the bill, of course we consulted with the BSP, our economic managers, and this was an amount that was very safe for them. So, they have the advantage of perfect information, and they assured that this is a very safe amount. And let me just add, dagdagan ko rin po, yung investment ng Land Bank at ng DBP is about 3% of their investable funds.
Yeah.
So meron po talagang investable funds ang bangko. And what they are investing, Maharlika, is about 3% only of their investable funds. So it really doesn't endanger our banks. At the same time, ang layunin naman po ng Maharlika ay mag-invest sa ating bansa. So para sa akin, di naman masama siguro na may konting investment sila sa mga infrastruktura at mga proyekto na makakatulong sa ating bansa at makaka-generate ng trabaho para sa ating mga kababayan. For me, that's clear.
And over and over again, those who agreed with this bill were saying there's enough safeguards in place. There's oversight committee, there's external and internal audit here. But when this has a lifespan of 35 years, the Maharlika Investment Fund is going to be governed by the MIC, which has a lifespan of 35 years, rather, unless repealed by Congress. Do you, at any point, forward thinking, what happens if we begin to lose money invested in the in Maharlika Investment Fund in the first few years? You, as principal author, would you seriously consider repealing this?
I think that's premature to talk about. We just passed the bill. Let us give the government an opportunity to perform with the new bill. I don't want to talk about what might or may not happen in 3 years. Ako naman po, confident naman ako sa mga investments nila. Marami naman tayong investments na ganda dito sa Pilipinas, and I've always been a staunch advocate of investing in our own country. And when we talk about the investment of Maharlika, where, let's say, investable funds, it accounts for 3%, I think that's a very reasonable amount. And at the same time, it's investing in the Philippines. We have the advantage of having a lot of information. We're very much aware of what projects are good projects. They've gone through the analysis of the NEDA, so we're very aware of what investments are good. And now we have the opportunity to attract investments, make investments, generate income for the country. And ang projection po ng NEDA is makaka-generate ang Maharlika. Through the Maharlika, makaka-generate po tayo ng 350,000 jobs. So ako naman, I'm very optimistic about the operations of Maharlika. I believe that when you invest, when we invest in the Philippines, everyone wins.
Yeah. I'm sure you're very confident of that, sir, being the principal author of the bill. Ano po? So, yung possible risks, ayaw niyo po munang tingnan or i-consider because, why, sir? Because you want to believe in this first and maybe look into it as the years go by. Ganun ho ba?
Well, there's no such thing as zero risk, of course. But of course, that's why we get the best of the best. If you look at the composition of the Maharlika, the people in the advisory board, these are very, very well established economic managers who've had a long track record. Truly, I can say that those behind this bill are the best of the best, and the risk is very minimal.
Yeah.
Of course, when you talk about risk, it's
wala naman pong walang risk, ano po.
Minimize risk.
Yeah, there's no such thing as wala naman pong risk, but very minimal.
Like
Okay.
in any other fund, we do all the due diligence, we do all the risk. Well, nothing's 100%, but we're confident that the economic managers can do their job and are very good at it. And I know that all these people who are there are really well equipped to make the decisions necessary to make Maharlika a success.
Senator Mark Villar, sir, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.